What's going on, gang? It's your boy Go to Techneex here, and we are back with something brand new to the channel. Of course, 2024 is going to kickstart with some amazing content, and part of the content is this Dragon Ball Sparking Zero talk. So, of course, people are talking about characters that are coming their way. Of course, everybody's talking about images and whatnot, but I want to bring the past to the present and show you guys, or actually give you guys, what I believe is the greatest tier list, and I mean the greatest tier list in Dragon Ball Z gaming opening. So what I mean by that is every Dragon Ball Z game that has come out has an opening or an intro or something like that. We're going to watch it here in this video, and we're going to rate that video and that intro on the scale of giving us the Dragon Ball hype, the music, and of course cinematography for its time. Now, check this out. The grading scale is based off the system that it's in. It is not a grading scale based off overall, because if that was the case, then the older Dragon Ball Z games will have probably a whacker intro, especially the Nintendo or Super Nintendo ones. And we're only doing main consoles, so that means that we're only doing Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, obviously, so on and so forth. Go ahead and begin this tier list. I am very excited to get this party rolling. And to be honest, it's something new that I've never done on the channel. I don't usually do tier lists because I bore people to death with my voice. But I think that 2024 is the year to do new things. So I'm here. I'm happy. Let's go ahead and get this cracking. Hope you guys enjoy this, and let's start off the festivities. Here we got the tier list. Every single Dragon Ball game for the main console. And if this video gets 50 likes, all I'm looking for is 50 likes. That is right, 50. That is right, 50 likes on this video. We will do a second edition, and the second edition is going to be the best mobile fighting game intros for Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball has been on the mobile for a while now. We have the Legacy of Goku, we have Dragon Ball Advanced Adventures, we have a whole bunch of Dragon Ball games that came out for all these mobile games, like the Game Boy Advance, and all that stuff, which I didn't want to include in this tier because this tier list in particular was already going to be long enough. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you do, and we get to that goal for 50 likes, we will go ahead and do that next video. Fuck it, even if we don't get to the goal, we'll do the next video. Channel, holla at the boy, and let's begin. So the first one is Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension. So one of the best Dragon Ball Z entries ever made for the Super Nintendo. Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension took whatever little knowledge was out there for fighting games and incorporated it into Dragon Ball. If you see the way a lot of the attacks are set up and a lot of the attacks are in this game, it was different compared to other games. And I'm not going to give a super full intro to every single game like this, obviously, because some games deserve it, other games just don't. But in this one in particular, this one deserved it because it was one of the hypest Dragon Ball games. It was giving you the hyper realistic look, close to I don't want to say, I want to say, yeah, it was giving you kind of like that Street Fighter vibe. But at the same time, it was also trying to be its own thing. So that's really the catch for Hyper Dimensions. And it was fun as fuck. It was very fun to play, especially when you could hit people and knock them into a different arena. So it was the very first game, Dragon Ball Z game, that made it feel like you was playing Dragon Ball Z. That was where Dragon Ball Fighters got its inspiration from. And that is like one of the craziest things that I just remembered, that you could actually do that in Dragon Ball Hyper Dimensions on some real stuff. So sometimes you could start off at Kami's Lookout, and you can hit somebody hard enough with a hard knockdown and knock them from Kami's Lookout all the way down to Earth. And then you can also knock them across the battlefield to like a different area as well. The game was the first time that that was incorporated, and it wouldn't like just slow down and you had to wait for a load screen. You just it turn black, come back in, and boom, you see the dude falling. It's pretty cool. Here's the intro. This is Hyper Dimension, and of course, you guys let me know where it is in your tier list. And the things that you want to rate, of course, is the generation. It's Super Nintendo. Compared to a lot of other intros in Super Nintendo, do you think that this is a cool ass intro? Do you think it's a intro? Do you think it's a whack ass intro? You know, the vibes. That's that. You look for the vibes, look for what it gives you, and you take it from there. I remember this like it was yesterday. Now, even before it finishes, I'll tell you guys, this gives me a lot of nostalgia, but nostalgia will not play a part in my grading. That's all I can say. Now, the music. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Listen. We don't do 3, 4, 5. We do one listen, one full listen, and then from that one full listen, we go ahead and we give our grading. Okay. The intro is slow. Okay. So the introduction was slow. The vibe was kind of slow. It was giving me more like a Chrono Trigger RPG vibe, to be honest. I'm just like, it feels more like an RPG. But then when you go into the main screen, you get that, and that is a little bit different because you never really get that kind of music per se anymore. But in the Super Nintendo era, that used to be like bops, you know, that kind of rock music kind of. So where do I rate this one? I think that because of how I felt at the very beginning, I would have skipped the very first part of the intro and then go directly into the game. I'm gonna rate this one. I'll put it here. I'll put it Z tier. Z tier is fair. Hercule tier, you would have to drastically just like human and Hercule tier is like below average. So I think that's a reasonable. I just can't fuck with this part of the game. Not Dragon Ball. It's not Dragon. This isn't Dragon Ball right here. This kicks in. And you're like, okay. This does. That's my conflict right there. So I'll leave it at that. The next is Super Gokuden. Now, Super Gokuden, personally, is I love this game. Okay, Super Gokuden. I played through this one for the Super Nintendo. I want to say about a good 12 times. I played through this game about 12 times. Very, 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 very good game. A lot of mini games involved, a whole bunch of stuff. They made a sequel to it. Obviously, we're going to talk about the sequel in a second. And I'm like I said, I'm not going to be giving very small intros to all of them. We're not going to be talking about them like 20 fucking minutes and then finally doing things like that. Okay. Oh yeah, this is gonna bring me back. me pause it there because I could sit there and listen to that shit all day. Okay, we already know. We already know. We already know. We already know. We already look. I'm gonna put this shit up here because we. This is done, son. Okay, let me explain to you why this one in particular automatically is SSG tier. Okay, first of all, let's put the era. Let's put it in the era where it's in. It's a Super Nintendo game. Okay, Super Nintendo. Now, it's a Super Nintendo game, and as Super Nintendo games go, right? A lot of the music in Super Nintendo games was very, very gimmicky. Yes, it applies to Super Gokuden as well, right? But you know the difference between them and this is that if I go like this and what you just heard, right? Listen to that, right? That's an intro. What do they got in common? I don't want to get copyright stricken. What do they have in common? Super Gokuden is inspired by Romantic Agerio. Pure inspiration by this. In the background, and then I hear Shorty come in right here after it drops. I take it's a Dragon Ball intro. It's a Dragon Ball outro to me. It's a Dragon Ball outro to me with the Romantic Agerio thing as well spliced into it. That's what makes it iconic. Reference to the original material, amazingly done. 100% SSG. Now, can it be topped by the second version of this game? Because the second version of this game is I can't say it was better than the first, but it definitely held my attention. So here we go. This is the opening track for Super Gokuden 2, which changed its style up a little bit. I mean, well, not a little bit, a lot actually. And although it did that, the battle system actually was pretty fun. But here we go. This is the intro to Super Gokuden 2, and it's this one is a little bit harder to grade because again, we put it back in its era, we put it back with the vibe, we put it back with, you see how you got so many vibes? That's how I felt at first, that I was just like, what? And then this kicks in and it's like, oh yeah, it's pure Dragon Ball. Better than Gokuden? I don't think so. I'm gonna put it in Z tier. Put it in Z tier. I don't think that they knew what they really wanted, and they knew that they weren't gonna be able to top Gokuden. That's just my personal opinion here. Okay, I think that my personal opinion is that I think that they knew that they were like, yeah, we can't top that shit. That was a bop. So let's see what we can get. But I guess it might have been too close to the actual source material. So they were like, gotta cut it short, buddy. I'm a little disappointed in the sequel intro. So yeah, I probably prop it there. Going in the list is a fan favorite for a lot of folks. Super Butoden. That is right. Super Butoden was never released officially on any system in the United States until the Game Boy Advance, and I believe that they released it with what was that fucking game called for Game Boy Advance? Dragon Ball Tenketsu. Um, but in that particular game, it was the first time that they released the DLC for they released it like that. It was an actual DLC that came with the game that you could play Dragon Ball Super Butoden. Now, this video, I give the shout out to everybody who's posted these videos throughout the years and stuff. These are my original videos, and I'm never gonna take credit. As you guys can see, there's watermarks all over the place. So shout out to everyone who's posted out these videos. But they're not your original content either, dog. So if anybody comes around asking like, where's my share of the pie for you making a video like this one and it blowing up, for example, I'm like, you sound stupid. That's going right there, man. Just that was hurting my ears, dog. That was hurting my ears. I couldn't even pay attention to it. I was just talking about something else in the middle of it. It's important to understand that a game like this, when it came out, it was already a Dragon Ball Z game, and people already knew Dragon Ball at the time, especially in the East and in Latin America. So dropping a game that gives you a whole catch up on what Dragon Ball is, and then thrusts you into the Piccolo versus Goku battle and stuff like that, or whatever. It's just like, as an introduction, it doesn't work as well if you don't have something that's entertaining to the eyes. I'm not gonna talk much about it. The next game we're gonna move on to is Super Butoden 2. Super Butoden 2. It was one of my favorite games growing up. Be honest, it was weird because I was able to find Super Butoden 2 ROMs, and I was never able to find Super Butoden ROMs for the longest. So like the original Super Butoden, you can never find a ROM for it. But Super Butoden 2, you can find a ROM for it everywhere. So this one starts off like this, because I remember this intro. Gave you a 3D perspective, kind of like that Broly shit, and then yeah, yep. That's NES 9X. Yes, sir. Super Butoden 2, right? Super Butoden 2 actually achieved greatness. Super Butoden 2 came in and gave us better visuals than Super Butoden 1, obviously. And the song is a bop. So I really put it up there, even though it was short. I put it up there in the Super Saiyan. This is our first Super Saiyan tier, and I think it does well. It is a Super Saiyan themed kind of game anyway. It's heavily centered around the Shudo characters and around launching Kamehameha waves left and right. The intro itself was really good, really straight to the point. It didn't do all that mumbo jumbo that this one was doing over here. Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2 is the first time that you actually play with Bojack in any Dragon Ball game ever. So, that's really cool. It really focuses on the final battle, on the battle leading up to Cell, and then the Bojack movie. That's it. That's what the Super Butoden 2 is about. And it has pretty much a decent cast of characters with the moves between the Cell Saga and, of course, the Bojack movie. Butoden actually played better than Butoden 2 in regards to technicality, in regards to fighting. Butoden 2 went the direction of being more Dragon Ball like and trying to be more floaty and, you know, things like that. Whereas the Butoden 1 was way more grounded and you actually had some kind of neutral futsu game, which was crazy enough to say in some fucking Dragon Ball game for that time. This was something that could have been way better. I remember this intro. They really try to bite hard off that Street Fighter vibe. Capcom said, yo, y'all try to do any jumping motion or any type of shit, I swear to God, we'll fucking hit y'all with a suit. I swear to God, Capcom was on their ass. Capcom was on their ass. First of all, look at this shit. Look at this shit. You think that this is not the same thing as this? Look at this. Come on, man. Dog. One of the greatest intros ever made. Said, yo, let's copy Street Fighter. And you know that Capcom said, my friend, you gonna have to stop. The rest is trash. The rest is trash. This game on my list, you're gonna be down here with your buddy Super Butoden. So this is the Mount Fuji of Dragon Ball right here. It goes from the base, from the bottom trash to Super Saiyan tier, and then goes right back down to bottom trash. Really try to bite off the Street Fighter vibe at the time, which would have been okay if it wasn't just a still image flipping between Goku and Vegeta, and then stupidly looking ugly ass render. This is Z tier to Hercule, such a big gap. Of course, it's such a big gap because some of these game intros are mediocre as shit, but it applies to Dragon Ball to a point where it's not completely trash. Let's go ahead and move on. The next one, though, I think that the next one is God tier. This one, this shit went harder than my mother's cooking at Buenas Noches dinner. I do the biggest fight. Damn, this shit went hard, yo. Oh yeah, Final Bout is up here. Final Bout is definitely Super Saiyan God tier. I bump this shit in the car all the time. I literally did karaoke to this song before. Nostalgia aside, Final Bout has the greatest intro in the PS1 era. Period. For any Dragon Ball game that came out in the PS1 era. Up to that point, there's no Dragon Ball game that was better. In fact, it's hard to say which game had a better intro because if I'm going to base it off how I feel, there wasn't a single intro that hit like the biggest fight. I think the biggest fight is probably my favorite intro of all of them. Hard to say that there might be another one. I think there might be another one, but we have to cross that bridge when we get there. We have to cross that bridge when we get there. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to I think this is the wackest Dragon Ball game that's ever come out. Bro. All right. Ah, so that's where that came from. Okay, I'll give you guys this one. Where do you guys want me to rate this shit at? Where do y'all think this is gonna be rated at, yo? Oh God, that is terrible, bro. That is disgustingly terrible. Disgustingly terrible. I don't know. I don't know if I think it. I don't know if it's worse than Betoden 3. It is not worse than Betoden 3. Betoden 3 is just not it. Betoden 3. Oh man. Just because they tried. Okay, you know what? You're right. You're right. They tried the Street Fighter shit. Okay, they tried the Street Fighter shit. I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna give it to them because they tried it. They tried that. Just because they tried the Street Fighter shit. But these two, yeah, this shit was nightmare fuel. Got one. Dragon Ball Z, the Legend, the Super Saiyan SNES opening. I had to put this one on here. We had to go back. Because this one did it for me. Yeah, this is as close as Dragon Ball Z as they could have gotten without getting a copyright strike. Middle ground. How about middle ground, right? Middle ground. Middle ground is not better than this one, and it's definitely not better than Hyper Dimension. So somewhere around there. Somewhere around there.